All right. Uh, Hello everybody. Welcome to Willing to Change maybe.
Willing
Like
to
that.
change. Ben and Sam make a podcast.
Yeah. Uh, so it's been a bit. Yes, we missed a week technically from our every other week podcast. So I guess we'll talk about the holidays a little bit, and then get into whatever else.
The
I don't
meat
know.
and
Yeah.
veggies.
Yeah. So yeah, how's your holidays been?
They were okay. The kind of, I guess, not highlight, but the hardest part of the holiday is we one shot the drive up to New York,
Yeah.
there and back, and Zoe do be sleeping in the car a lot. So there was one like section of a drive. We did it overnight too for
Mm-hmm.
no traffic and because Charlotte would sleep in the
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
And there was one section where I did like 1 a.m. till 7:30 in the morning,
Ugh.
and I just like one shot Virginia basically, and that was like fully agony. Like I was actually slapping
Yeah.
myself. I was like driving a nail into my gums and my teeth to
Yes.
like cause enough pain and for adrenaline
Do you
to
have like
stay
caffeine or
awake at
anything?
7:30. Sorry?
You have like caffeine or anything, or
Yeah, I was slamming like
yeah,
fully
energy
like
drinks and stuff, or
energy
5 hour
drinks
energies or something, or
and it just didn't like eventually it just didn't
yeah. I
do
mean, at some point
anything.
you're like, I kind of want to sleep. Did you
Yeah, yeah,
did you
yeah.
mess up your
Well,
sleep schedule beforehand to like sleep during the day, then wake up at night?
no, I like napped. I slept well the day before and then I napped the afternoon,
Okay.
but it just didn't help. There was, also I
Yeah.
like had a load of caffeine at the start of the 6 hours, like a ton, just so that I was fully awake at the
But
start.
then it's like
And
running
then it
out.
was like I was crashing, and I don't
Yeah.
think having more caffeine would have been like
Nah.
healthy at
You probably
all.
gotta like, I guess maybe wait a little, like do it like an hour or two in ideally.
Yeah, yeah, I should have spaced it out more because I had like 3 cans of energy drink, but like
It sounds
that was
miserable
the low
either way.
light. It
Like,
was the low light. And
yeah.
in New York, when we arrived, it was like 7 degrees Fahrenheit, which I do it in Celsius from the UK, but I just know that's cold.
Yep.
And it was snowy and everything, and so that was the low light. But it was fun seeing Zoe's family and all that, and
Hmm.
um, Charlie, I guess, saw snow for the first time. She didn't really make anything of it though.
Yeah.
She's just a baby,
He
so
doesn't care.
she doesn't care. Yeah, she's more interested in the people. So yeah, um, Christmas was good. I'm too old now to care about like gifts and stuff.
Right.
I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
um, so now I'm a little bit, what's the word, jaded? Not jaded,
Mm.
but like I just don't care really. If the stupider the gift, the better for me. Like bath bombs were like one of my favorite gifts
Yeah.
because then just
Nice
chuck it in the
little
bath.
bath going.
One shot. Yeah, yeah, one shot, one use.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then New Year's, I went to my brother's in Augusta, Georgia,
Mm.
a couple hours away, and he makes a mean cocktail. And that's it, basically.
Oh yeah.
How about you, Sam? Yeah,
Um.
yeah. I mean, we played it. We also played a game called Dominion.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Um, Super fun
Good game.
game. And basically, the more expansions you get, the crazier you can get with the setups. And there's like different apps that
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
you like different setups. Some are better than others, but
Mm.
we got some pretty good setups where basically all 10 cards were like worth buying.
Yeah. So you actually have
Um,
decisions to make.
yeah,
Sometimes you
big
set up where
decisions
like
to
one
make.
thing's just one or two cards are just OP.
It's very clear. There was one game where I didn't realize a card was really, really broken, and my brother did, and it was just like
Yeah. Yeah. It's just not fair at
coffins
that
from
point.
there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of my favorite games for sure. Like kind of party esque strategy games.
Yeah. I played a game
That
actually that was kind of similar-ish. It's called Res Arcana. My friends have been
huh.
playing online, but like it's also a deck building game basically.
Yeah,
But
those
you
are
kind of
cool.
draft. There's a little draft in the real version,
Yeah,
and then you end up with like 7 cards total. You have a bunch of stuff. You have a deck.
those are like my favorite games
Yeah,
where
you'd
you
probably like it, I
build your
think.
own. Yeah.
But yeah, my holidays were pretty good. I'd say probably generally, or yeah, I think in the anytime recent is probably like the best holidays overall. Past like several years. Um,
How come?
I'd probably relate it to I'd guess just changes in my like mindset. I guess. Uh, I feel like I don't know if I mentioned maybe I feel like maybe I just like was very negative towards like holidays and stuff overall and like interact. It's just like something to get over, get
You'd
through.
rather they didn't like happen at all?
Yeah, maybe that's extreme, but yeah, kind of like once you're there, like be ready to leave in a day or two, almost.
Right.
I
Was
think
it like anxiety or something else?
yeah, maybe a bit of both. Like uh, maybe thinking like a failure or something. Thinking of my family like uh, maybe doesn't think like positively about me, stuff like that. Holding on to negative like thoughts about that or
Sure.
perception about like how they feel about me.
Yeah.
Um,
I've always thought that families are tough and extended family, and now for me, it's Zoe's family. Is a tough crowd because I don't have a problem. Like if I go to a supermarket, I could like dance. I could like moonwalk down an aisle because I have the like a really good idea of like I'm never gonna see these people
yeah,
again.
sure,
With family, I'm a lot more like aware and like
right.
I know I can't just do anything. They have to like me a little bit. Like I can't just crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because they're gonna know you forever. It could be 30 years that
Mm-hmm.
or more that they know you. So you have to care a little bit about
Yeah.
how they perceive you, right?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it'd be stuff like I guess I'd think like because like obviously people in general, but especially like family like care about like what you're doing and things like that. So like um it could be anything like a job. Like somebody could ask like, oh like everything about like going back to school or something. I could just take that super negatively type of thing and be like think I'm like causing a huge problem for them if they think like negatively because I'm like drawing a conclusion from the question type of thing. If your like
Mm,
mindset's super negative, then you can go to like the worst case stuff.
for sure, for sure.
And I think like I just had a bunch of similar things related to that where it just made me think that I guess like uh maybe family members thought like the worst of me, which is probably more like self perception showing in like elsewhere because I think like yeah you're or yeah I don't know if that's right but yeah basically your perception can change like how any situation occurs. I feel like you can kind of
Oh,
make
for
up your own like
sure,
narrative about it. Um
100%.
and yeah I think that like kind of drew out to a bunch of other things. And like it would make me be like disengaged during holidays and things like that.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, I feel like I was. Yeah,
disassociated,
basically, I'd like other times I'd be like big reading and kind of like doing my
right?
own thing or maybe on my phone or something. Like it's not like
Yeah.
I wouldn't be there like interacting at all, but it'd be like minimalized. But I
Hmm.
don't think that was like that at all this trip. Um, and I didn't feel like I was like forcing myself either. Just because everything was much more natural. Like my sister just had twins. Like I was helpful with them. I mean, I kind of like babies, honestly. Like
Okay.
I do and I don't, because they're just kind of like nothing really. Like they can't do
They
much.
really are. They're not human.
But they're. I generally am pretty good with them. I guess. I think my mom says because I'm like relaxing. So like generally they're at
Yeah,
ease.
chill vibes in
Yeah.
it.
I think it does kind of like how you are feeling kind of rubs off. You
For
know.
sure.
Like if you're
It's
super
like
anxious about
that with
holding a baby, yeah, they can like start. They'll feel it too, and they'll be like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's like that with dogs too, I think, where
Exactly.
they've got like almost a sense. I mean, I think humans have it. I think adults have it too,
Yeah.
where they feel like calmness from people.
hmm So yeah, I guess like I know I'm pretty good with them too, but I was helpful in other stuff, I guess, or whatever, and generally everything was pretty felt pretty natural. It didn't negative connotations. I was pretty
Because you
happy
got a
with that.
massive family, right? How many people
Yeah.
were there?
One of my sisters wasn't there this year, but I have five sisters and a brother, and they basically think all of my siblings except like my one sister were there. All my siblings that were there had their significant others as well. On top of like
Mm-hmm.
children, I think I have like 8 nieces and nephews now with like the twins that my sister just had. So it ends up being a big lot. Um,
Damn.
and yeah, so yeah, that's also part of it is that like when there's so many people, it's just it can be like a little draining on the energy. But I didn't feel that nearly as much.
For
Um,
sure.
and
Really,
then
would you say that you've become less introverted, or do you think that like is a
mm,
construct, or
I do think it's a little bit of a construct. Uh, like I think for sure there's introverted and extroverted people, but the like extremeness of it is probably a bit more of a construct, you know, like
you're right.
so maybe a little bit less. I'm definitely introverted still, like not like I'm
Hmm.
just extroverted.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely like a the best explanation I heard that I vibe with is the like draining of batteries thing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I love people, and I prefer smaller groups, but I just can't do it for long.
Yeah,
That's just a
100%.
fact. But I love it. I
Mhm.
like when it happens.
Yeah, like it's good, but agreed. I can't do it for that long and like in general I much prefer like more like one-on-one like connections and situations or like smaller group stuff because I feel like it's easier to like
For sure.
connect, I guess. I don't know. Large groups it can be like it has its own like appeal, but it's not good at that for sure.
It's a different type of thing, and I feel
Mhm.
like you have to be a like a very specific type of person to really shine in large group
Yeah, yeah,
situations.
exactly. Um so yeah, that was good. And then I thought my trip was gonna be a little shorter, but my friend basically we were in Connecticut and I grew up in Pennsylvania around
Hmm.
Philly, and my friend basically convinced me to extend my trip, and he came and drove and picked me up, and then drove
Hmm.
back down. It was like a 3 hour drive. Um, and then yeah, so I did that, and I stayed. I was supposed to leave on like the 31st, and I ended up staying till like the third. In general.
And you
Um,
just stayed with him?
yeah. Oh no, I stay with a friend that I live with right now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
his name's Evan, but I stay with his family basically when I'm in my hometown.
Okay, gotcha.
So I stayed with him. But my other friend, like all my friends go there from growing. Like I have a friend group from like high school or
Yeah,
earlier
yeah.
that like still in contact with, and we always hang out a bunch when we're in town holidays.
So all
Um,
of you were, or most of your friend group were there.
yeah,
Damn, that's sick. It's sick that you still have. I can't even imagine that, and that you still have a friend group that still meets. But I guess
yeah,
that's
it's
part of being in a
awesome.
different continent.
Maybe I think it's not that very common. Like I
Yeah,
think
no, I don't
people
think
even
other
from like
people would.
college don't really stay that connected.
No,
Um, so yeah, it's
like
been like 10 plus
Zoe
years.
doesn't have like a friend group either.
Yeah,
Like I can't think of anyone actually, apart from
yeah,
you, I
maybe like
guess.
one friend generally, but his whole like group too is I think is
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
very nice. And
Hmm.
no other no drama. Is there
Uh,
drama?
no, not really.
Okay.
Drama free, which isn't normal, honestly. Especially with a family that's so big. Usually some drama comes into play, because you know when you have a bunch of people in like a house for extended period of time, times the
Yeah.
personalities clash a little, and like
Oh, one thing I want to go back to. You mentioned that you basically all your siblings have um like uh plus
yeah,
spouses or
yeah.
whatever. Is that like a weird feeling for you or not? Or do you not
A
want to talk about it?
little. I mean, I don't mind talking about it too much. Like it's definitely something uh that I like desire, you know, like being in like having a relationship, a romantic relationship. Um, but it's not like I
Is
felt
it
like out
something
of
that like you
place.
get asked about?
Yeah, I mean they'll ask questions about it, but it's not
Yeah,
that
yeah.
like not that often or anything.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not like I felt like out of place, but I guess it's like a
Right.
reminder. It's like, oh yeah, but it's just something I'll work on more, you know. Put actual
Can
effort
be.
into.
Yeah.
What did I feel like?
All right. Holidays.
Yep, they're done.
Yep. Done and dusted.
Um, you're lurking over here.
Are you
So
glad to be back in routine?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's probably part of the introvert extrovert thing. I'm always happy, kind of like afterwards.
Yeah,
I enjoy my time a lot, with my family and friends both. But afterwards, it's like, all right, I'm good to like be home, sleep in my own bed, kind of do my own thing for
yeah,
a little bit.
100%. Yeah, I'm the same where I don't know when it was, but somewhere in my 20s, maybe like 25 if I had to guess, but like somewhere in my mid 20s I stopped looking forward to like birthdays, Christmas, holidays at all.
Mm.
Necessarily, and started enjoying the just mundane normal routine.
Yeah,
Like I hated not like going to the gym,
yeah.
let's say 4 to 5 days a week. Um I hated that. I knew that I was missing out on Gaines' smile. Like I knew because I've wanted to run 3 miles in 30 minutes, and of an extended goal
Mm,
is 6 miles in 60 minutes. And I'm not. I can run fast enough for a shorter time, and I can
mm-hmm.
run long enough slower.
But not
But
combined.
I can't make them meet, and I've
Yep.
been doing that. I'm closer and closer and closer
Wait,
every
that's
time.
awesome.
Uh, yeah, yeah. Like I think on Monday I did. Oh no, it wasn't Monday. It was Sunday. I did 3 miles in 33 minutes. So I'm
Cool.
like super close. But like
Like just
that's
recently,
just a
you're like way off from that, and like
yeah. It was like 40 minutes,
yeah,
or maybe I didn't
or
even
like
do
maybe
three
even couldn't
miles. I don't
even
know.
run the whole time and for three
Yeah,
miles,
yeah.
or
It's
like
hard. It's
no, it's really
like
hard. That's awesome.
my copium is that I'm a pretty big guy just in terms of like weight. I'm like 215
Yeah,
pounds.
yeah.
So I just have to like drag
Uh huh.
215 pounds up and down the kind of bounce of running.
Yep.
But yeah, and I don't even know if there's running technique. That's something I don't know anything about.
Yeah,
So
me either. There definitely is, but I don't know them.
yeah, and so like I'm just glad to be back at the gym. That's like my and then I
Mm-hmm.
also just watch a ton of football, and I like the routine of like being able to watch from
Yeah,
the comfort of my house, just
yeah.
full matches. Like I'll watch the 90 minutes easy and just like enjoy every second of it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's random stuff like the gym that was well, but like whenever I'm on trips, I just feel like I never drink any water relative to what I normally do, and I get like so
Really?
dehydrated. Yeah, I don't know
You
why.
like forget?
Yeah, basically I'm just doing stuff, I guess, and I'm like, it's like less accessible because like I just have this like giant water bottle, which is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's not like that big, but it's worth like a couple cups of water at least, and like have like I just carry that around so I drink it whenever. But I don't know, I guess reason, but
Yeah, I guess that would be kind of dorky to have a water bottle that
I've done it
you
bowbefore.
carry around
Yeah.
socially. Yeah, yeah, it's not that's nothing no problem. I think I'm a social drinker and I'm not in alcohol. Like I'll like grab a
Hmm.
bottle of water whenever I can or just fill up a cup of water um almost like as a I don't know, like a
Yeah,
way to
yeah.
cure anxiety. Like
Mm.
just
Sure.
always have a bottle in my hand or something, just
Yeah,
something to
yeah.
drink. And then it's like great for pauses, you know. So yeah, that's weird that you say that.
No,
That's
I just
never
forget or
come
something.
up
I don't
for
know.
me.
Every time though, it's like I think it's the access or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it must be.
Um, but yeah, okay. So I guess the one thing that I have thought about talking about is a book that I read. Um,
Shoot,
I
what's it
always I
called?
double check every time, but it's Man's Search for Meaning is what it's by Frank Victor E. Frankl.
You can show it on
Oh
cam, you
yeah, I
know.
guess I could. There's not really a reason not to. Just show it backwards or what?
Very nice. No, no. Well, for me, I see it proper. I don't know if the recording doesn't.
Yeah, I think the recording swaps maybe. I don't know. Yeah, Man's Search for Meaning. Pretty good book. It's basically a psychologist who went through the Holocaust. Um,
Wow.
and so yeah, there's some pretty like it's split up in two parts. The first part is basically his like experiences with just some like notes, but it's very like
Yeah.
personal. It's not like fact driven or anything. Um, uh, and then the second part is kind of his like take on things as a psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
And he like sprinkles that into the first part too, but a lot of the first part I'm like it's like hard to even conceptualize or like I mean relate to or like it seems like it's like a fake thing, you know, that you're like reading. Like it's hard to
Yeah.
yeah.
Believe it's true.
Right, exactly. It's not like I'm thinking he's a liar, but I'm like it's
Yeah.
like wow, like what? Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of that
Seriously.
stuff. Um and then yeah, the second part kind of gives a I guess a like it used the his like experiences as like context kind of for the second. So like eventually it comes into play, I feel like more. But the
Which is
psychological
about
stuff I thought
meaning.
was quite interesting. Yeah, it's about the meaning of life and like what you can find meaning in. Like one thing basically he said you can find meaning in like three things and basically one's like work that you like do like I don't know, maybe somebody's purpose is like uh like a help people. I don't know, you know,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Work done. Or like basically a purpose in like people, relationships, more or less. And then like the last thing is in like suffering as well. More or less, he had like those
Okay.
three things.
Sure.
Um, there's a lot in the book that I thought was interesting. Like I guess the suffering thing was quite interesting. It's basically kind of like a shift in perspective. Like one part about it was uh the example that's coming to mind is he talked about like an old married couple. Maybe they're married for like however long. Like
Right.
the woman died, and then like the guy basically got depressed because his like lifetime
Mm-hmm.
partner. Like,
I bet that happens like all
right,
the
it's probably
time.
very
You know.
common. Like your purpose at that point is like almost just to like, live life with this other person you'd be married to forever.
Yeah.
Um, and then like yeah, so he like was struggling with I think like depression and like caring about anything. I think, and then basically I guess he said the guy came to him, and it's not like he fixed his problems, but or like changed his scenario. But basically he gave meaning to his suffering by changing his perspective and saying that like oh if like your wife had died first or if you had died first and your wife lived like how do you think she would feel and like he was like oh she'd feel awful, it'd be like horrible. And then he basically said that then your like purpose is to suffer so like she doesn't have or like dying first, like you're taking the suffering from her kind of.
Yeah. I
um
guess.
Maybe I'm messing up with the you don't love that, huh? I I could have like I have a direct quote somewhere, but look it up. I wrote it down. But basically, like you can find some meaning. You can say if you have thoughts about it.
That you're supposed to find meaning in suffering.
No, you don't have to. Not all suffering has meaning, but you can find meaning
Oh,
in like uh
some suffering.
in suffering that is like what's the word that you can't like get around, like a terminal illness or like a loved one like dying, like
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
like things like that.
I,
You can find meaning in the suffering, but it's
sure.
not like you have to like suffer just for the sake of suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to find meaning.
What are you saying?
What am I saying?
I'm trying to think about what you said in my head.
Okay.
Okay, how would it attribute to your life?
My life?
Or is it just a kind of perspective thing?
The perspective thing. I don't know exactly. I don't know if I have a picture. Let me think. I can give another um I could try to give another example, although this one's less concrete in my mind. About like somebody Mm. I feel like that just won't go well if I think about the terminal illness. Okay, let me. I can genuinely just like read it. I take like pictures when I read. Um,
Really?
yeah, of things that
That's a
like
cool
I
habit.
resonate with,
Yeah.
and then I can reference.
And then you can reread it because it's said in the best way it can
Yeah,
be said, basically.
yeah. I guess it'd be the same as like bookmarking or highlighting stuff in a book, but I think this is more easily accessible.
Well, that and you don't besmirch your book.
That's true, I guess. But I mean, it's your book. Like,
Oh, right.
who
Okay.
cares
So
that
you're
much?
a book besmircher.
Well, I mean, yeah. If you bought it and you have your own book, why not? You're against that?
I don't know. I just thought about it. I don't even think I could fathom it. I don't think I've ever written in any book ever. Um,
Mm.
or like highlighted anything.
I mean, most of this.
Like for me, and it's not like I do. It's not like I go around sharing my books with like a throng of people.
Yeah.
Fans of all everything I read.
Uh-huh.
But also, I've listened to the majority of the books recently. But
Yeah, yeah.
even like, okay, I'm reading one Stephen King book. I couldn't even imagine getting out a pen. And I guess fiction is different than nonfiction, though. Yeah, maybe it's a life hack. Maybe it helps you actually like engage.
I don't see why not. Okay, I don't know if I'm gonna find this. Maybe I will.
That's okay. Is this book old?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
was gonna say
think I
it's.
think this guy. From what I remember, I think the author died in 1996.
Damn. So why was it relevant, or why did you read it recently?
Um, basically one of my I might have mentioned him before, but his friend I talked to from my high school reunion. It's like a book he had read, um,
Uh,
liked. So
and recommended.
plus I think meaning is like he recommended it. I mean, actually, my friend told me that he liked it and recommended it basically. But uh, yeah. Plus I think like the topic of like meaning is like pretty, you know.
I think it's almost harder than ever. I really do. Like to find any
Yeah.
meaning, especially when like most of the problems in the world have kind of been solved in a way. Like, okay, we haven't cured cancer yet, but if we wanted to, I'm not saying that we are, we could feed everyone. Um, the problem right now is like wealth inequality, I feel like. But
Yeah.
like not many people are trying to fix that because the rich people don't care about fixing that and the poor people um can't fix
Mhm.
it. So but okay,
Yeah.
that's a
I
whole
did
other
find it by the
tangent.
way, but basically
Yeah, go,
real quick
go.
on what you said. This book actually mentioned something like that because it mentioned like going between two different things. Like one is like having too much going on, and one is like not having enough. And I think it
Yeah,
said like right now it's like similar to like the age of like boredom, basically. So,
I
like not having
agree.
enough.
Th- That's probably why you think the book resonated and why it was recommended because that book probably aged so well.
Yeah.
Because it's 2025. Like people can sit and do nothing for so long now if they
Mm-hmm.
want. It's pretty like the cost of living is a whole topic of its own, but it's like if you just have enough money to literally feed yourself and accommodate, sleep under a roof,
Yeah.
you can do nothing if you want. And it's like, well, that's so hard to
Yeah.
have
Internet
meaning.
makes it
Being
crazy.
bored, for sure. The internet, everything about the internet, everything about a phone and all the apps you can get, and like
Mm-hmm.
short form videos, I think is like
Yeah.
a
TikToks and all that stuff.
yeah. It's like all of it is just so it's so easy. It makes life
Yeah.
way too easy
Uh huh.
to like get dopamine in your head, whatever.
Yeah. You can
You
order
can just pass
groceries and
time.
food and everything. Like if get money
You can
for it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to shop if you don't want. You could just never leave your house if you don't want, if
Yeah.
you work from home.
Mhm.
And I think it's coming for us, this age of boredom, as you said. So yeah, yeah, read it out if you want.
Okay, let's see. Here's the situation I said, and then he's like, this guy's a doctor also, so he's, what would have happened, doctor, if you had died first, and your wife would have had to survive? You know, for her, this would have been terrible. How she would have suffered. The doctor, such a suffering has been spared her, and it was you who have spared her the suffering, to be sure, as the price that now you have to survive and mourn her. And that was basically the end of it. And he said that with no word, he like, and then like, um,
Mm,
and it doesn't mean he's not gonna suffer anymore, but at least he like has a purpose for it. I guess is what it was going to say. Here's what like
sure.
it's trying to say. So like he didn't change the situation or anything, but it will perspective switch that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think yeah, it probably can apply somewhere to like I think you mentioned like terminal illnesses or things like that that you can't fuck with.
Yeah.
Um, but a lot of times like what ends up happening, I think, is that I guess how I'd say it relate. This is a much smaller version, but like I think what a lot of times what happens like uh is like something terrible happens, and then maybe other people yourself try to like just ignore it and like try to like oh well I don't have to like suffer just because it happened. Try to be like really positive and stuff. Or like other people try like you kind of like almost start to feel bad for your suffering, which like makes it like double up. Like you're like oh I'm sad, and then
Yeah.
you're thinking like oh I shouldn't be sad. Then you're like
No,
annoyed that you're sad, and then like it keeps going type of thing.
I think that's a plague. Like it's like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
self-perpetuating plague
right,
on your brain.
exactly.
Um and I definitely like I feel like that. I resonate with that
Hmm.
100%.
So yeah, like finding meaning in it kind of can maybe stop that I think in a situation like
Sure.
that. I'm sure other situations you could find meaning in suffering, like putting in work to like a smaller version of suffering. Suffering seems like such a strong word to me, but I guess it still applies.
Another thing I was thinking recently, and this isn't from like a book or a podcast or anything. I've started to think about how little anyone cares about you not living, let's say, your best life. Like, okay, right now I'm a stay-at-home dad.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could say I'm unemployed. Okay, and
Fair.
sometimes sometimes people would ask me, "Oh, what are you doing with all your time? You just sit there with your baby all day? What are you doing?" And I'd feel like I have to say, "Oh, yeah,
I do all this other
I'm
stuff,
learning.
like
Yeah, I'm
yeah, yeah,
learning this. I'm doing that. Oh yeah, like I was thinking about like doing walking dogs, like on Rover or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
And oh, thinking about all these like answers that I'm supposed to give.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is they care about what I answer so much less
Yeah,
than
yeah,
I
yeah.
care
Right.
about. And so I've in my own head, I've been thinking a lot recently, maybe the last couple weeks, about how I should go easier on how I judge myself, I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
because
100%.
um I'm the one who cares the most. No one actually really cares. Like,
Yeah.
there's friends, there's close friends, and there's close family,
Yeah.
but all they really care about is that you feel good about yourself.
Right.
If
That's
they
true.
want to judge that you say, "Oh yeah, I didn't really do anything super productive. Like I laid in a bathtub and read a book," that doesn't like the world's not got
Yeah.
better by you doing that.
Also,
But
who's gonna
if
be
if
like mad
you
about that? You know?
but if you are happy and
Yeah,
you're like, I'm not ashamed of that. I'm like happy that I did it. I enjoyed that.
that's
Then
true.
I think the people who are really on your side, your family or whatever, and your friends, would not care, and they would not judge you.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I just feel like, at least for me, I've been conditioned to believe that I have to like have output in some way,
Yeah.
like do something for the world, and I do eventually. Maybe when Charlie's grown up a bit, a little bit more, and maybe when I find a better job, I do want to do like something real with my like life. I want to have output, but um, I feel that the person that cares the most is me.
Oh
about that.
yeah, 100%. And this makes me think of something I've been thinking about a lot recently too. Um, that basically like everybody's life is like different and their own. Like every from the book I read and another one, Stormlight Archives. It's kind of similar to Journey Before Destination a little. And
Hmm.
like there's a direct quote, but I'll just try to paraphrase overall. Um, but like basically everybody's life shares like the same like big things, you know, like you end up like loving some people, you end up like dying's the big thing, like some other random stuff I forget exactly.
Yeah, there's some stuff in the
Yeah,
middle.
there's a bunch of other stuff too, like
You get bored.
you're gonna be sad at times, and I don't know, a bunch of whatever, you know, like
Sure.
all the big things. Like generally people's lives are very similar, but obviously in like the specifics they're not. um and I think it kind of leads to saying that it doesn't really matter what like anybody else is doing or anything. Really just do what you want to and what you like to, which is really hard because I feel like for at least for me, and basically what you're saying too, like it's really easy to like try to take what everybody else is doing or what your family members or like what they like say and think as like applying it to yourself, or like societal overall thoughts of like how like things should be or shouldn't be.
Hmm.
um and like none of it just really matters, and you really should only do things that you like want to and like want for yourself, you know, not do stuff because like other people want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the irony is that we're two Smite pros, ex Smite
Yeah.
pros, that literally played a game
Hmm.
because the reality was the reason we did it is because we wanted to.
Yeah.
We said, screw kind of what the world thinks. We just didn't think about it in our heads back then. I
Exactly.
think when we both started playing
Like I don't give
games.
myself credit
Um,
for it, but it's just what happened, you know.
it
Like
was and it was actually like to really overanalyze our little 10 years younger
hmm
brain or whatever. We just did what we wanted,
yeah,
and we didn't say,
actually.
"Oh, is this going to impress my parents the most?" Well, let me tell you, it didn't. It didn't impress my parents
Uh-uh.
more than my two brothers
Yeah.
and what they chose to do with their lives. But it's like, well, not especially not at the time, especially not before like I got any money whatsoever from Smite.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they were like, "What are you doing? You're literally wasting your life, addicted." And it's like, well, there was some truth in there, but like, um, it's funny how with age comes the stress, or maybe without such direct like passion, because I'm like a passion enthusiast. I
hmm
watch a ton of sports now, and I'll always gravitate. Well, your cats are going
Yeah,
crazy.
oh, they're playing.
I'll always gravitate towards the sports players with the most passion, whether it's like in the
Yeah.
NBA, in football, or
Mhm.
soccer. But I've been watching a lot of tennis recently, and it's like I'll always find myself just cheering the people with the most passion and the managers with the most passion,
Yeah.
um, because it's like I feel like I see some of myself when
Mm.
I was a player, and right now I'm kind of just sitting here and thinking, surely there's somewhere new I can be passionate about.
Yeah.
Um, or accept that I'll never have that same level from Smite 1, let's say, ever
Mhm.
again. And that's like a sobering thought, but I kind of refuse to believe that there isn't something that I'd be a little
Yeah,
bit passionate about.
I don't think that there is like it could come up in anything. It doesn't even have to be that big, you know.
Yeah.
Like it could be learning literally anything, or like I randomly become, I don't know if passion's the right word, but like for like disc golf, I really wanted to like play a bunch, and I'm enjoying like
Mhm.
improving on like my like backhand form. But I was using a different form before, and I completely ignored this other one that's much more common because I bad at it. Like I've been enjoying
Right.
that learning process, which is like similar to me, but it's a much smaller like form. Like not gonna be like a pro probably or like anything like that.
As
But
long as you're enjoying it,
yeah,
because
exactly.
I think there's a trap that you can like feel like you have to, because that's what everyone else does.
hmm Yeah.
I have that with pickleball all the time,
Feel
where
like you have to what?
um okay, so what marks me out that's different than other people of my experience and skill level
Yeah.
is that people will be much, much better at driving than me,
Okay.
and I'll be maybe better at cutting the ball, like putting backspin on it,
Yeah,
and
sure.
playing closer to the net. That's like my forte.
Yeah.
But that my like bad side of my brain says, nope, I have to start driving every
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ball
Uh-huh.
and just taking the L's, just losing points after points after points, just driving and either hitting it way too high and
Right.
then just smashing it down, or driving and hitting the net.
Mhm.
And it's the same with serving a little bit, where I'll kind of do a slower serve with more spin, but like all the players on my level or above are like literally slamming serves, like they're
Yeah, yeah.
underarm, but they're like driving serves really
Mhm.
hard, and it's low and it's fast. And that's just not what I'm doing. But I realized that I caught myself in a trap where I actually enjoy just the way I play and my style.
Yeah.
And what am I trying to do? I'm not trying to be a pro pickleball player. I think the ship has maybe sailed. Like, I'm 30 and
Right,
pickleball's
right.
getting way more competitive these days. So it's like, um, if if I'm having less fun driving every shot, getting frustrated, because that I guess that's just not my style or whatever. Then, but what you're saying about like
Mhm.
practicing your backhand, if that's what you want to do and you're enjoying it,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. For
different.
sure. Definitely matters that. Um I think there's probably some stuff on both sides. Like the reality is whatever you want to do and whatever you enjoy is like fine. Like
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
saying,
Like
you
you
don't
can
have to
literally
move on.
troll
But yeah.
in games if you want. Like
Yeah, if you
people
wanted.
do that. I don't enjoy it because it's not competitive,
Right,
but
exactly.
like now I see why people do it though.
Mhm.
Like because it's how they have fun.
Yeah. So like if you're saying like, "Oh, I really enjoy just the way I play," that's fine. But if you're like, "Oh, I really think I should get a better drive ability," then you could just practice it, think more critically, or take
For
recordings and be
sure.
like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is what I'm doing wrong." Like
Yeah.
like both are fine. I think yeah, the extreme like basically it's just yeah, whatever you want like can be fine. Like I
Hmm.
ended up changing my going trying to work on my backhand form because I was like in pain basically if I played too much going forehand.
Oh,
And I didn't
really?
want that like
Wow.
limitation. Yeah, because it like messed up with my elbow or something. I
But
don't know.
you never had that when you gamed, or was that your other hand, your keyboard
Um,
hand?
not really. I think it's an extension from like that.
Okay.
It kind of extends from my like fingers all the way down to my elbow a little times. But my forehand is like over here, and it really like puts pressure on the elbow. So if I
Yeah.
play enough on it, it ends up like hurting a lot. And that's like why the main reason I want stopping. But I
Hmm.
completely ignored doing it because I was like, oh, I'm so bad, and I'm way better at forehand. And it's not like I didn't want to learn backhand because like I enjoyed forehand. I mean, I enjoyed forehand because I was just better at it. I guess
Yeah, yeah. There's a weird
it's
mix
fine to
where you
keep
can
that
have
if you
fun
want,
learning
but
something
yeah,
else.
yeah, exactly. But I think like yeah, that could you could randomly be passionate about like being a dad or like it could be show up in anything. I don't know.
For sure.
Um, Probably not
There
the
is
same
some
way. Like it's
meaning to it.
different, but yeah.
A flip didn't switch that I thought it might. Um because like okay, this is some like weird advice to take, but like
Hmm.
um having kids or like starting a family, people usually say, especially other like adults or other parents I should say you should do that.
Yeah.
And having responsibility in your life, oh, it's the most meaningful thing you can do, be a parent, right?
Hmm.
I don't necessarily fully agree with that, and I'm not old enough, and I'm too inexperienced to really
Yeah.
say one way or the other. But no flip switched, and it still hasn't.
Fair.
Charlotte's like 17 months old, and my brain and the way I think might be slightly different.
Hmm.
But nothing changed overnight, that's for sure. And I don't like I still feel like extremely selfish and um like it didn't fix a problem, that I
Right.
had before.
Sure. Sure.
It's just some other thing like it's the same with like having a dog or a cat, which I have both of. I don't know how you feel
Yeah.
about being a
Uh-huh.
cat dad, but it's not like you feel like you have this great responsibility
Right.
to the
Right.
world. You just kind of like keep them alive, which is what I do with Charlie, and Merlin, and
Yeah. I
I
assume
I
it.
just kind of keep them alive. But
Right.
I also have like the not sobering when I'm kind of like depressed or whatever, or like thinking neurotically. That's
Yeah.
the word for when you think
Mhm.
about yourself a lot.
Yeah.
Um, you kind of think they'd survive if I died. Like they'd be fine, you know. Not that I'm like thinking about dying or
Right.
killing myself all the time, but like that is my like kind of overall like idea is that they'd be fine if I died. You know,
Hmm.
it would suck, but so what I mean is they don't just give you meaning because they exist
Right.
or because you
Yeah,
chose
not
to pick up these
necessarily.
responsibilities.
Everybody's kind of different in that, I assume. I'd also assume
Yeah,
it would increase more and more the more like they grow and interact and
for
on them
sure.
and things like that, which is always gonna be more than like a
I know, like,
passion.
I didn't understand it from my mum. Like, there was like a day where I moved out from my parents' house,
Hmm.
and my two brothers had already moved out by then. They were
Yeah.
both older, um, and she doesn't cry often, but I caught her like very close to tears, and it was like just before I was like left the house,
Yeah.
and um, I remember it like me being kind of like so confused at the time. I was like 18 or 19.
Right.
It was like the first time I moved out. I moved back in for a little bit, but
Hmm.
um long story. But I remember being so surprised, but I realized that basically her identity, or at least one of her, let's say
Yeah.
masks or whatever, hats, I guess, for the last 20 something years, I guess my oldest brother was like 23 at the time,
Sure.
had been mother, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's easier, I'd say, when there's like three kids, but that is just one of her hats, you know, that she had.
For
And
sure.
it felt like that was like going, you know, empty nest syndrome and all that.
Hmm.
And so it's like, well, I definitely don't at all feel like that right now, you know, and
Yeah.
I don't
And
know. I'm
part
just
of it
saying
could
that I
be
think it's important that you have other things going on.
yeah, I mean, I agree. It is important. I mean, I don't think everybody has to necessarily. It could also be partly because, like, well, I would guess a lot of the time, like, a stay-at-home mom is like very invested.
100%. And I
But
actually, over the last few year and a half, I've got the most respect almost ever for
yeah,
stay-at-home moms.
but I think like it becomes they're like it can become their meaning a lot, and I think it probably helps also when you're like fully in like if what I'm trying to say is I feel like maybe you like are still negative towards like being stay at home, which
Maybe,
maybe
yeah.
impacts that a bit. Like you don't see it
Y-
like I mean not that it'll ever be it might not become like purpose I guess,
Yeah, yeah.
but that's part of like I think if
Yeah, I mean,
you yeah.
especially not if we end up not having more kids.
Hmm.
I feel like your life can't be your only child, like one kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you've got like three or four kids, you know, your life can kind of be them. Maybe I don't know.
I
That
don't know.
sounds weird too.
I
There's
think it
some
depends on the person. Like
dodgy
whoever
ethics right there.
I think
But
it
yeah, I definitely don't think I was like I'm predisposed to be
sure.
like just a, and I don't mean just a parent, but like
Yeah, yeah.
that be my only
I
hat.
think yeah, it probably just depends on the purpose. And I think like for some people it'd be fine, even if it was just one child or however
Yeah, and
many.
I wouldn't judge that at all.
Um,
Who's that Ghost?
Oliver.
Oliver and Zero,
Yeah,
right? Not Ghost. You don't have
Ghost.
a cat called Ghost.
Good though, I
Zero.
guess.
Yeah, you could.
Um, but yeah, thinking about purpose is just interesting and overall. Like that, I mean, that's a lot of what the book's about.
Yeah,
Like discovering your meaning, and there's stuff that I like enjoy and find value in personally, but I definitely don't know if I have like the meaning, my purpose in like life or anything satisfying. Uh, which I guess you just find eventually by trying enough stuff or like trying to do things that you want to do, and maybe it
for
happens. I don't
sure.
know.
Yeah, I mean, in a long term, I think being busy is how I'm going to derive a lot of meaning. And
Mm,
I have no idea what being busy is going to even mean, like what career path that might be, whether it's a career path or not. Like, I wouldn't mind ladling food in a soup kitchen.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't mind doing that. If I was busy
Mm,
and I didn't, because one thing I've been trying to get away from is have the time to be bored and think about
yeah.
myself all the time. Because
Yeah.
I think being self-aware and like being aware of like aims of where you want to be and also like take time to yourself is really important. But
Mm.
I think that's not my problem right now.
Yeah. Too much is not good either.
It's just way too much of it.
This is kind of
And
was in the
yeah,
book. It basically said like, I mean, it talked about the meaning of life in general, and that like you can't find it from else. Everybody.
right. Yeah, I
But
like
like
that.
it mentioned that there's just gonna be different stages of doing what's like right for you. Like at some point, at some time, maybe it'll be like having a contemplative like stage where you like have to
Hmm.
think and consider things. And other times it'll be like you have to have like action and be doing stuff and yeah, it's basically like it's really, I mean, it's up to you overall, but like every person is different in like what they're gonna need at each time grow or find their meaning, whatever.
Hmm.
So I agree. I think both of us are probably a bit too much in the contemplation area.
For
Um,
sure.
I think we've both been dabbling in the action area, you know, with like
For
running
sure.
and like being active and.
Myself, my best like narrative for it is that it's kind of like a training arc now.
Mhm.
You know, every good hero, which we all want to believe is ourselves,
Right.
needs a training arc. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
and
no doubt.
they it you know they didn't like when they made the movie Rocky. I don't know how long. I think there was an exact amount of time because he had to be like
Yeah.
trained for a specific time, but it was like it was a fuck ton of mornings and whatever and
Mhm.
afternoons that he was like running up the stairs and boxing and whatever and getting in shape. It wasn't just one day. It wasn't just like
No.
one afternoon he goes, "Yep, I'm gonna train for 3 hours and then I'm good."
And
It's
I'll
like I
fight.
think it's supposed to take time and
Yeah, for sure.
what no one's gonna say, like wherever you end up, let's say it's somewhere you wanted to be successful or busy or anything, do anything meaningful to you.
Mhm.
Um, no one's gonna go, "Oh yeah, you took too long in your training arc for that." No one said that. You know what I
No.
mean? Um, like I don't know. Well, you have a very different story about your Smite story, but for me, mine was more of a movie narrative where I won the ninth season I played.
Yeah,
That's like
sure.
literally I was playing in the beta, so it was literally after 10 years of like slamming Smite.
Mhm.
I got that win, but no one's well, maybe some people did think it, but I didn't think it. I didn't think, "Oh yeah, um
You
took
took
me
too
long
long,
enough." No,
so
dude,
this one doesn't
I'm so
count.
happy. Like I tried the whole fun of it was the whole time it took me
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
there
Well, yeah,
to
it just
get to
gives that
the
much more like whatever's fine, obviously, but like you get a lot more. You can get more meaning from it taking longer, even. It's not just like good or
100%.
bad.
For me, I'll never like I hope at least it's easy to say now, but I hope in 30 years I don't look back and go, "Yeah, man, like oh, what man, I wasted my life playing Smite. I wish I didn't take so long getting to the point where I could have one good weekend and
Right.
win." Um like I hope that I can always look back with pride and be like, yeah, I fought. I tried to get up the hill for so long, and then I
Mhm.
got to up to the hill, and that's it. Like, um, it's going to be different for everyone. That narrative, like, but wherever I go next, I don't want to think, yeah, wasted my life when I was 30, just going to the gym, stupid me, and just like raising a child. And like focusing on myself, reading a couple more books. Like, oh man, what a waste! I wish I
Yeah.
didn't train like that.
Right.
I just feel that's my self narrative is that I don't feel like I'm wasting any time because I feel like um, if you just add up all the endless hours,
Mhm.
like just exercising, leaving the house a little bit more, seeing the sun, and reading books, it
Yeah.
can't be a bad thing.
No, I think it's great actually. Mentality. That's like more or less what I've been trying to like uh emulate as well. Um, or think about like things in the past and have a little more like of a brighter light on it. Like think about like being depressed or anything. Like you can kind of think about most things positively if you want. Like there's like a reason for that, or I
It definitely
lost.
helps. It
Yeah,
helps.
like
It
even if you're
helps.
doing something terribly wrong, right? You can still be like,
Yeah.
oh, well now I know this is so wrong. I can
Yeah,
not
yeah.
do
I
this
made that
anymore.
mistake. I
Right.
made that mistake in the past.
Hmm.
I think about that all the time where I think about how dumb I was with like money specifically.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I look back at times that I like literally threw away
Yeah.
money.
Same.
And I think, well, like I cringe at
Like
myself a
it
little bit when I
sucks,
think about
but
it.
you can realize
But
that yeah, you can learn from that and be like,
I'm
okay,
like,
well, I'm
yeah,
not gonna do that mistake again. Like
exactly. I'll just
I wish it
never
didn't
waste
take so
that
much to
money.
learn it, but
Yeah. No, I agree.
yeah, I think it's really like I guess powerful as I was saying, but like think like that or to you even like your worst like experiences in life like as like something you can learn from or take from or like being like a part of you that led to something else that like made you learn or
Yeah.
rather than just like think like oh my life's ruined
Hmm.
let it affect you uh super hard in a negative way I guess still
Hmm.
like I'm still working on it for some stuff but I'll get there.
Okay, Sam.
We calling
This
it
is it.
there.
Yeah, we're calling it
Yeah,
here.
Ben's got a
It's not even that
it's
soon.
not even that soon. I mean
I
it's
just
fine to
want to
call it
make
now
lunch
anyway.
and shit.
Oh nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, Thanks everyone for watching. If you made it
Yeah,
this far, you're a trooper.
actually true. Yeah, thanks for listening. It'll be 2 weeks till the next episode. And yeah,
Yes,
Happy New
boss.
Year, I guess. A little late, but very good holidays. Happy New
2025,
Year.
baby.
Yeah. All right. Goodbye.
Bye.